who changed my name to Jack Penis.
You have activated the podcast from the Psycom Network.
And now, on with the show.
Welcome to Retrograde, the show where we find a retro game review in a treasure chest and hold it above our heads. This is episode 30, and today brings us in the N64 title The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. My name is Jack Marshall. I'm joined today by Anthony Hobday.
Hello.
Sam Fisher.
Hi.
And Jason Valian.
Episode 30.
I hope it's episode 30 because I wrote that and then I'm wondering, is it actually episode 30? I think it is episode 30.
I'm sure it's 30.
That's a big milestone.
Yeah, 30. I'm sure it's 30.
30 episodes is quite a...
30 episode. Yeah, it was a 30. Last week was StarCraft. Good episode. Just that one as well. Great episode.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Anyone got anything to share?
I bought Pokemon White 2 at the weekend.
Wait, there's a second Pokemon White?
Yes.
What's the...
It came out last year. It's a new story. Same region, new story. The events take place 2 years after the first set. And there's extra land and stuff. There's no new Pokemon, but you can get classic Pokemon from the start of the game. Whereas with Pokemon Black and White, you could only have the new Pokemon. And then once you completed it, then you got all the Pokemon.
I see. So that's a shit ton of Pokemon.
Yeah, basically.
Beep.
You can catch like 800 or so Pokemon from the beginning.
Need to beep that.
Like obviously once you unlock the areas, but
Yeah.
you're not restricted. It's only as you go and search them and stuff. And Steam Summer Sale.
Yeah.
Is this a carry case for you, dear? Oh my
It
god.
is.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
no. I was going to mention my 3DS later because I've got Ocarina of Time on it in 3D. and I was going to show you all so you can have a look during the
This is
episode.
an awesome carry case.
My brother got me that for my birthday.
For
For those of
people-
you who can't see,
yeah.
it's from Etsy. It's a knitted Mario dungarees, and then in the back there's some little pockets you can put your DS games in. And it's just a really handy, nice little...
Etsy's good for video
Carrier.
game stuff. Charlotte and I
Etsy's
got some,
awesome.
we got some Bioshock Infinite like Vigor posters that we're going to put up. We haven't done it yet. We got them like months ago, but they're really nice. So,
That's
yeah.
well cool.
That's cool.
What I found interesting about Pokemon Black and White 2, let's get back onto that, is that they released it on the DS, even though the 3DS...
Yeah, this
Was
year, Pokemon X and Y, that's going to be in proper actual 3D.
Yeah.
Well,
I think partly it's because
absolutely.
it's a sequel, and partly it's because they didn't have the 3DS install base.
Yeah, they don't want to limit their audience because I mean you can play it on the 3DS.
But it is a system
But
seller, so
now-
I figured they'd use that as a...
Yeah, and they're now doing it, and I imagine there's going to be a bundle pack for the 3D XL. That'll come out, so I'm going to upgrade this to a 3D XL.
I heard that Game Freak
yeah.
teased a new game recently, but I didn't look into it
new
because I wasn't
IP
interested.
game?
So, huh?
A new IP? Or
Yeah, totally
The
new.
last one I
IP.
did.
You sure it's not just a sequel to
Well, the
Drill
last one I did
Dozer?
was Drill Dozer. That's the only other game they've ever done apart from
Yeah, no, I
Pokemon.
heard that they're working on something new. So, hey,
interesting.
okay for that.
Well, I dusted out my PC today.
Yeah,
I got a can of compressed air through the mail.
It's
I
cold.
ordered one. I
Through
didn't
the
just get it
post.
Through the post. Sweet. I didn't just didn't turn up. I ordered one and took it outside and got rid of all the dust, and now it runs quieter. So I feel great.
It's cold in your hand if you hold it too long, doesn't it? The can.
Yeah.
but does it run
Dangerous.
cooler?
I suspect so. I don't really measure the temperatures.
See, you could overclock your CPU slightly more than usual. We
Well,
know
not
how
in
you
summer.
like
It's
to.
ridiculous.
We know how you like to OC your rig.
Get the water cooler and set up in the liquid nitrogen.
Water cooling's crazy. I never understood people who do that because it's the idea of having so much water near like thousands of pounds worth of electronics is mind-boggling.
Well, it's all self-contained.
Yeah, but I mean, like one leak and you're.
Beep. It's swearing a lot today.
Stop it, James.
I'm a bad person. I'm sorry. Oh, they don't know what I said. They just maybe that's the sound I make when I'm being emphatic. Maybe there's no actual sort of profanity in there. Maybe
Or you
that's
just
just
randomly
my
beep.
expressive. Yeah.
You just walk down the street, you go beep. Anything else you want to say about dusting out your computer?
No, I think I covered all the bases.
This dust came out, did it?
Yeah.
What did you do with all the dust? Just hoover up a bit?
Well, I was outside, so it just blew off in the wind.
You took it outside.
My computer,
Why don't you just hang your window out a window and just like bang it on the wall? That's what I do. Just like slap it down like that.
I've got a carpet beater for that. I just do it. So.
I'm really ill. I'll apologise for my voice. I got hay fever. I had to work from home today, and I was crying all night, just
Why?
lying in bed
Jack,
because I
tell
wanted to go
us.
to sleep. No, it was just hay fever.
Oh.
But I did do something quite fun last week. I went to this thing in London called Hint Hunt, which have I ever mentioned that before on the show?
Oh, no, you mentioned in real life that you were going to do it.
It's number one on TripAdvisor in London. So me and two friends, and basically what you do, you turn up and they go, hello, welcome, and then they
Hello,
put you
there's
in
your name.
they
There's
put you
your
in a
money.
room and it was Professor, I can't remember what his name was now,
Layton.
like Professor Strauss or something like that.
Leighton.
And you got 60 minutes to get out. There's a big TV on the wall counting down, and we walked in, they went, right, have fun, close the door. We're like, well, what the hell are we doing? So it was like an office, so there was like an outline on the floor, and I won't give away spoilers and stuff, but it was like, first thing I did was to turn a chair over, there was a letter on it saying, I've been murdered, you've got to solve my murder, if you solve the murder you get out of the room. And then you take a picture off the wall, there's a safe behind it, and you're running around, there's like a phone, you realise if you press certain
You're giving away
buttons-
loads of spoilers.
Oh no, that's like 2 puzzles of about 200 that are in this room.
Right,
I mean, we had
okay.
an hour. And you walk in the room, you look around at first, think there's nothing in there. But
I'm writing these down. I'm going to get through that in no
It's
time.
upside down. It was really good fun.
Did you solve
we
it?
didn't get out in time. We got out. We took a minute and a half longer, so we didn't make
that
it.
burns.
We panicked. We really panicked. Like we were running around the last 2 minutes, going, "Oh my god, just throw everything at the door." Because just nothing was working. There was a point where there was a padlock, and I was just going, "Right, I'll just go through the numbers while you guys try to work out the puzzle." 1, 2, 3. And it didn't work.
You know there are just under 10,000 combinations.
I got to about 78, so I covered a small percentage. But no, it was really good fun. Apart from that, I mean, that was really good. That was like an interactive game, I guess. That was good fun. Like a video game, but in real life.
That does sound very cool. What's it called again?
Hint Hunt.
Hint Hunt. Is it
HINT.
expensive?
It wasn't really. I mean, it was about £90 between, like, if you had... We only had 3. If you can have 5 as a maximum, so it works out.
Oh, okay. But
Works
it's
out
£90
about-
for the hour kind of thing.
Yeah, and it works out about, like, I don't know... $20 probably if you had 5 people, I guess. I'm saying dollars because we've got so many American listeners.
We're going to come to London.
And pay in pounds.
I don't know how many crowns that is for us Swedish
It's like
listeners.
16 euros.
Yeah, it's like 36 million.
Let me just figure that in rupees
Yeah,
for today's
Oh,
episode.
clever. James, what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
I bought a lot of stuff on the Steam sale, it was. I don't know if the Steam sales are getting worse or if I'm just buying all the games that I could ever possibly want.
When you say Steam sale, what are you referring to?
The
Steam summer sale.
Steam summer sale?
Not a guy just selling Steam on the high street. Not
Well, I mean, I'd
Bottles of Steam.
be interested in that as well. But
What's
no,
this
it's just,
Steam summer sale you speak
the
of?
Steam summer sale? Well, every few, it seems like a few months these days, Steam kind of just decide to give things away for relatively cheap prices. So everyone listening knows. I mean, I don't really. If I have to explain this to you, then obviously.
No, you don't. I didn't actually buy anything this year because I apparently
Nothing,
own
not a thing.
everything I really want.
Yeah.
And
what about FTL?
no.
No.
No, I own so many games that I haven't played that if I bought any that I don't really want to play immediately, then I just won't play them in
Why
time.
did you not buy Dark Souls? I've been playing that. It's really good.
I don't really want to play it
Why not? It's good.
because
It's very fun.
Do you run a tight ship on your Steam account?
No, I've actually.
No junk.
And at the start, I've got so much junk in there. At the start, I went crazy, and now I've got about. Well, I'm not going to say, but I've got a lot of games, and I wish I had way less. So now I just only buy games that are
You can
absolute
never
musts.
remove.
That's the problem. I wish I could remove permanently games because I've got categories like given up. I put them in a category if I was giving up on them, but I still don't like to be in there.
I don't even use Steam, but I bought the Humble Bundles each time because they're such good deals when you pay like 12 cents and get like 5 games. So now I've got like about 150 bloody Steam games and I don't even play the thing.
Bloody hell! It's
My
such
laptop-
an inconvenience.
No, I know, it is a right pain.
First world problems.
Games. It is.
God.
All these games, I don't even want
Taking
to
up my
play them.
digital space.
I'll run through my Steam because I didn't even know I had that. Like, you go to buy a game that I've already owned from a Humble Bundle, I didn't even realise it was there.
If
Like,
I
oh, dear.
continuously play computer games from now until I die, I don't think I could get through my entire Steam library.
That's sad, isn't it?
That's because you'll be playing
depressing.
Dota 2 from now until you die. You own one game on your Steam account.
There are worse things you could do with your life.
I'm just saying, one game doesn't make that valid.
Does it make you sad that you'll not be able to listen to every song ever written as well? There are beautiful pieces of music out there that you'll never have the time to listen
I'm not
to.
sure I'll miss out any of the really beautiful ones.
Speaking of beautiful pieces of music, this is something you just reminded me of that I did want to say. The Total Annihilation soundtrack by Jeremy Soule is incredible.
He did the Total Annihilation soundtrack.
Yeah, and it was on Soul with an E on the end, right?
Yeah, Soul.
Yeah, and it was on this video game music playlist I listened to, and I thought, I'm going to check if I have that, because on good old games, if you buy a game, usually they include extras like a soundtrack,
Yeah.
backgrounds, sort of thing. And I own Total Annihilation on there, and it includes a soundtrack, so I downloaded it, listened all the way through, it's fantastic. Because it was this full orchestral score in a time when all these real-time strategy games are using techno tracks,
Yeah.
like Command & Conquer. And so it's really amazing. Plus the game uses kind of procedural, it like blends in the music depending on what's happening. So if
Yeah.
you're having a battle, it'll blend in the battle music, then blend it out
Oh, that's
again.
cool. I'm a big fan of Jeremy Soule, but a lot of his stuff does tend to kind of blend together for me. I mean, the difference between for example, the Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Guild Wars 2 soundtracks is really negligible, because he likes the sort of fantasy ethereal harps doing this sort of
well, listen to the
I will.
TA soundtrack if you can, because it's very energetic.
Cool.
Anyone else got anything like to share? No.
I'm on summer holidays from tomorrow, but that's it.
You're also wearing a Zelda themed t-shirt.
I am wearing a Zelda t-shirt.
Everyone around this table is actually kind of colour coded. Lisanne's green, Anthony's red, Jack's blue, and I'm black.
Do you mean we're all wearing colours?
Yeah, but they're very striking colours. We've also there's no.
Can't believe none of you mentioned the heat we're going through at the moment.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It was actually.
No,
cool.
that's too British.
It was cool this afternoon.
It was very cool this afternoon.
I've been
it was
trying
lovely.
not to complain about it, but I really want to be the guy that's like, I bloody hate the sun. But now that's it. I'm done. Get rid of it. I want to blow it up. Like, get it out of my face.
Yeah, we won't die
You
immediately.
just want some rain.
Oh,
Some
can't
good old
wait.
rain.
There's going to be some thunderstorm. If it rains tonight, I might go out for a walk in it and just do like a Shawshank. Put my arms like.
Oh, that would be
and just
amazing.
Stand in the
You mean
rain.
covered in poop?
Yeah, covered in poo. I'm going back to sewers and just run
Do you
around.
need someone to provide the poo?
And then I'll go find a beach and like, it's a spoiler alert, isn't it? Oh dear. People don't
it?
see Shawshank going, what, he gets out?
Well, it wasn't a spoiler until you said that.
You just said.
All we said was covered in poo in the rain. That could be any
That
point
could have
in
been
the
in
film.
the prison yard.
There might be the guys really looking forward to the fact that there was going to be no poo in the film. There's like, I think there's going to be a poo bit. Oh.
Now they've had 2 spoilers. There's poo and he gets out. I was about to say, I'm colour-coded as Zelda as well, because I'm the red Zelda from Super Smash Bros.
Link?
I was going to say 4 swords, but...
Oh, yeah, that was...
Do you mean Link?
No, Link's the girl.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. But before we do, let's have a brief blurb on the game by the founder of Psychon.net, Brecky K. Tomlinson.
The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is an action-adventure video game developed by Nintendo's Entertainment Analysis and Development Division for the Nintendo 64 video game console. It was released in Japan on November 21st, 1998, and is the 5th game in the Legend of Zelda series, and the first with 3D graphics. The game was followed 18 months after its release by the direct sequel, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. The player controls the series' trademark hero, Link, in the land of Hyrule. Link sets out on a quest to stop Ganondorf, king of the Gerudo tribe, from obtaining the Triforce, a sacred relic that grants the wishes of its holder. Link travels through time and navigates various dungeons to awaken sages who have the power to seal Ganondorf away forever. The game won the grand prize in the Interactive Arts Division at the Japan Media Arts Festival, won 6 honors at the 2nd Annual Interactive Achievement Awards, and received an overwhelmingly positive critical reception. The game is widely considered by critics and gamers alike to be the greatest video game ever made.
Cheers for that, Brecky. Right, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I chose it because it's one of the biggest games of all time, so we need to talk about it at some point on the show. It was inevitable. And I just realised, though, before we actually start going into a rant on that, we need to do the thing that you're all listening for, the competition. Clearly all listening to.
Yes,
so
it's time for this week's, or this episode's,
Bring it.
Paul Monahan giveaway. I decided to officially what's that word? Christen it that. This week, in this episode, we're giving away in the last episode, we're giving away Faster Than Light, great indie game,
FTL,
and
FTL. I started playing that this week. It's really
FTL,
good.
FTL.
Very gripping.
And Burnout Paradise, both of which I believe are Steam codes.
Yep.
And we're announcing the winner of that today, who is Daniel Beltran.
You're looking at me, so I was going to read it out. I don't.
No, I was looking at you because I expected the da-da-da from you.
Oh, sorry, Dan.
But it's fine, I provided it myself. Daniel Beltran. I hope you haven't pronounced your name right. It's got an
Beltran.
accent. It's got an accent in it.
His surname sounds like an evil baddie. It sounds like a powerful Pokemon.
Or a
Could be an X
Transformer.
Yeah, or a Transformer. Beltran.
I think it's like Beltron is more... Anyway, maybe with the accent it is pronounced Beltron.
We need to stop insulting the listeners, otherwise they won't message us.
Maybe they like it and get some alone time on the air.
I'm hoping we get someone with a name like Jonathan Willieface.
And we don't say
We
anything.
don't say nothing. We just drop it.
But anyway, Daniel, you have won FTL Faster Than Light and Burnout Paradise. We'll be contacting you on Twitter and sending you the Steam codes.
Lovely stuff. So Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. I chose it because it's...
Wait, is there not a giveaway for next week?
I think there is.
Oh, no. We
haven't organised one.
Suck it.
No, we'll give them a break.
Soon. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your ears peeled.
Yeah, okay, we'll just tweet out that we've got some more prizes to give away. I'm trying to think what I've got to actually be able to
We can just leave it
away.
until the next episode.
Yeah, okay, no competition this week, the next episode.
Well, no, I've got a copy of The Walking Dead. I was going to gift it to my brother, but he's already completed it on Xbox, so I could give The Walking Dead if people want.
Okay, and I've got a Batman Arkham Asylum Game of Year edition I can give away on Steam as well. So those are the competition's prizes for next week.
Wait, we're not doing it today?
Well, we'll do that.
Yeah, we can announce it on Twitter.
This is a disaster. This is right now.
It's not a disaster, no. We can announce it on Twitter, that's fine.
This is how we operate.
Basically, just retweet our tweet that we put out.
Just give us attention.
You're in. Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get good things. Most of the time,
just
not.
Tell your friends about the show, basically. That's all we want to do. Anyway, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the third time. It was an amazing game. It's probably one of the biggest games ever made, and one of the most well-reviewed, and we were going to inevitably have to do it for one show at some point. It's one of those games that's going to come up at some point.
I wouldn't say it was inevitable.
It was. You can't. You've got to. It's like,
Well, we don't literally
Anthony,
have to.
Anthony, you have to, okay?
We would have had to at some point. We couldn't,
That's what those suits from Nintendo are around your house for, right?
The reason I wanted to actually do it was because I only played it once when I was growing up, and I really loved it back then, and I always know it's been one of the most reviewed games of all time, so I was really looking forward to, because we do this a lot on this show, going back and just slagging it, basically, and going, yeah, it's rubbish now. I went back to start playing it, going in being very kind of like, yeah, this is going to be rubbish, and it was it was absolutely brilliant, absolutely amazing. I got completely sucked in again, and I was genuinely can't believe how good it is, to the point where it's just everything about it. The only it's just everything about it. And there was a bit where I was running up to that mountain, Death Mountain, or whatever it's called, and it's really weird, but Link's going uphill to the point that I felt tired watching him go uphill. That's how engrossed in the game.
It does take forever to run up that mountain.
But when I got there, I was like, wow, and it's just
Were you on a
everything.
treadmill?
No, but just everything about it is just perfect. The starting is so, like, the Kokiri Forest or whatever, is so whimsical.
Kokoriki.
And then you go to
Kokiri.
Hyrule Field and it's so majestic, and you go to the castle and it's so beautiful in every way. The colour palette's perfect. I think there's so much about it that I absolutely think they just got so right. It's amazing. However, but here's the flip side. When I say all this, it's not one of my favourite games of all time. And I had to really think about why this was. And the only way I could really compare it, and this could be a terrible comparison, but I compared this game to, say, something like the Lord of the Rings films. I absolutely love them. They're incredible made. They're epics. They're absolutely huge. But I wouldn't put them in my top 20 films. They're just really great. And the only reason I could really think of this is Ocarina of Time is not pick up and playable. I know you've got it on your 3DS, so I don't know what they did to make it on the 3DS a little bit, but
well, you can have a look if you want.
You can't. I couldn't just jump into Ocarina for a quick 20 minutes. I know you.
Oh no, you had to dedicate hours to it at a time.
You had to kind of stop and really get into it and watch it properly, and that's kind of like what Lord of the Rings is to me. I couldn't just sit down and watch like 20 minutes of Lord of the Rings, and that's why, as much as I absolutely love this game, when I was a kid, I played it once and I did it, and I remember completing it and sitting back and going, oh, thank God that's over with. But not in like a bad way, but more in like, that was so epic and such an effort to actually get through, even though I enjoyed it so much. That it was like, it felt like a challenge at all times. And I think that's why sometimes there are bits in, like people say the water temple's quite annoying and things like that, but I think that's because it is just so kind of like, really, really pushed you all the way through. But so in summary, I absolutely think it deserves every accolade it's ever been awarded. However, at the same time, I think it's quite funny because it's so epic. It's almost like a victim of its own success. That it's so epic and so well made that you have to really let yourself go. Another comparison I was going to give that James, I thought, agree with this. It's almost like listening to a piece of music while you're driving, like a piece of classical music, or if you're doing some work, that it's so beautiful that you can't do anything else. You just have to stop and listen to it.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
It's kind of like that. That's kind of
in the middle of the highway.
Well, if I was driving and this
better part Mozart.
Exactly. A Beethoven coming, go, turn off, I'm going to crash. But no, it's like that, and that's the only way I really can explain it. So yeah, I think it's absolutely perfect, pretty much.
I just imagine a car swerving around the road about to crash with Beethoven blaring out the windows. I mean, something like really calming of his, but it's just like completely at odds with the fact that he's swerving everywhere.
No, but you know what I mean? Like if you're having a conversation with someone and like a music comes on, you have to go, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop there while I listen to this piece of music, which I've done many times, which is so rude. I'm like, I can't talk to you right now.
Well, that happened in the latest episode of Newsroom.
Oh, it did, yeah, you're right.
He stops, it's that song that Elvis did a cover of.
Always on my mind.
Yeah. And the guy who sang it originally, I think, came on and he was like, no, stop talking.
No, I didn't know it was a cover. Who wants to go next about this game?
Me.
Okay, Anthony.
I think it'll provide a nice counterpoint. Okay, Ocarina of Time. Just like Mario 64, And they were developed at the same time, well, roughly the same time, and in the same engine, so I think there's comparisons to be made.
Yeah.
But it was the same engine, at least.
It was an alter version of Mario 64 engine, but yeah.
I think it suffers from poor controls from a modern perspective.
Okay.
But again, just like I said with Mario 64, especially the camera controls, because they were abysmal, just like in Mario. But again, this was all new at the time because they were making that transition to 3D. So it's not as if there was a context that you could provide at the time to say this is how it should be done. They were essentially treading new ground. Yeah. 3D camera is obviously quite complicated to get right, especially more so than a 2D camera. I think the sound design is fantastic. The music especially, but also just the little sound effects. The sound effect it plays when you get something out of a chest is very uplifting, and the little... there's these little bleeps when you pick something up, that sort of thing. And it's all really high quality, and I like it. It's very satisfying to hear. The combat isn't very well designed, or if it is well designed, it's not what I like from combat, and that's one of my main problems with the Zelda games. I also mentioned this, or covered it at least, in Link to the Past. Mostly what I look forward to in a game like this is the combat, but the combat in Zelda games is a bit boring.
Yeah.
So I realised...
Not the modern Zelda games.
No, I haven't really played those.
I'm going to bring that up later, but yeah, not the modern Zelda games.
I mean, it's still, like, the way you fight in the Zelda games is roughly stayed the same across, even though they've improved it. But, like, waiting for the right moment to attack and then jumping in and everything by pressing a button. And I realise that's the main problem I have with Zelda games, is there's nothing in the game that makes me look forward to playing it, because the exploration side, the story side doesn't really interest me. I think what I mainly look forward to in games is combat, and this game doesn't have anything that grabs me. I noticed that the very first boss, at least, it fades away, like its skin fades away bit by bit as it dies. I don't know if that's the same with all the
Goes
bosses.
into dust.
Yeah, and I realised that that's the same as what happens to dragons in Skyrim, and Skyrim obviously stole that from Zelda.
Definitely.
When you kill a dragon and they
What was
evaporate.
the quote I used for Mario 64 was Dan Houser, for head of Rockstar, said anyone who's making a 3D game who hasn't borrowed elements from Mario's or Zelda or Ocarina of Time is lying.
Yeah, although skin dissolving in sections is a bit of a...
it's surprising the little bits and bobs. Like Z targeting in Ocarina was very new at the time.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of games have kind of
Dark
got
Souls
on.
uses that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I think the difference is that a game like Zelda probably had to put in Z targeting because it was necessary.
It's Z,
Well, they called it-
by the way.
Oh, Z.
They
Sorry.
call it Z targeting in games now because I think it used the Z button on the N64.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with the actual kind of I don't know, the axes or anything like that. It's to do with the fact that they use the Z button.
But in a game like the latest Devil May Cry doesn't have a button to target things. It auto targets things where it's closest or prioritises. So I think in a game like this they had to put in something like Z targeting to make it work, the camera system and everything, to make sure that you didn't lose focus when you... So that was kind of a necessity, even though it did have a lot of impact on the games in general. Final point is that I hate dungeons, and that's another reason that I don't like Zelda games as much, because they're essentially all dungeons.
Why do you hate dungeons?
I think it might be to do with the sameness of the environment. You're basically... It feels like it's filler content. And I know that sounds silly because I really enjoy JRPGs, but I think because I only play JRPGs in which the combat really grabs me, the dungeons don't matter so much because it's all combat, and so I can look forward to that. Whereas this is just a lot of slogging, and then you get into combat and it's even more slogging, and then you're back to slogging, and so it's all just looking for
Slogging.
Yeah, so it's a big slog. Yeah, and now slog sounds a bit rude.
Very
I've said it so
sloggy.
many times.
But that's why they put mini games in.
Yeah, it's just...
It's for a bit of light-hearted relief.
Which I've not played Skyward Sword, so you're going to prove your heavens. The only thing I would say about the dungeons, which I used to find a little bit annoying, was that once you were in one, you could leave some of them by the front door, but once you were in them, you kind of had to do it. You had to go through the dungeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't stop and go, I'm so bored of this dungeon, I'm going to quickly travel to somewhere else.
Yeah, like in Skyrim, you could explore dungeons, but you could just get out again. You just maybe realise that maybe the reason I don't like it is because without good combat to kind of... For good combat for me to take my mind off the other stuff, it's basically just one long fetch quest. And that doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah, you mentioned last time you hated fetch quests.
Yeah, so without better combat, I'm not really into Zelda. If they did a Zelda game, well, I say that, they did. They made Darksiders, which is basically a Zelda game with Devil May Cry style combat.
Yeah.
And I played all the way through that because I liked the dungeons then, because I could look forward to the combat that happened all the time. So I would like Zelda if it had more real-time, free-flowing combat.
Have you played Skyward Sword?
No, I didn't own a Wii by the time it...
Okay. You'll have to come around one night and play Skyward Sword because it is amazing.
Okay, I don't know if the existing like dungeon structure, even with the new combat, will.
No, but what I'm saying is that the actual combat style on Skyward Sword, the fact that you hold the Wiimote like your sword hilt, and the movements you do with the Wiimote are mimicked as close to one as they can get with this technology, with the Wii technology at the moment, is amazing.
Okay, yeah.
And it does get really tiring. Well, that's how I got my tennis elbow.
Zelda elbow.
It was from too much sword
Zelda,
fighting on
exactly.
Skyward Sword. That is what it was.
It's like
That's
a
what did
pirate.
it. Yeah.
What's your kind of summary on the game? And
I appreciate that it's well made. It broke a lot of new ground, but it's not for me. Nor was the previous Zelda. I was going to say about I was going to say about the graphics.
Has any Zelda ever been for you, or do you
No, not really.
play it much? You're not a fan of Zelda?
I was thinking about the different Zelda games, and what they all have in common is that I don't like the combat. But I was thinking about the graphics. What interested me about this new 3D wave of graphics when this came out, like 3D was quite fresh, was that the previous games, like, I realised that games like this don't really stand the test of time graphically. You look back on them now, it's kind of... Yeah, I mean, they updated for the 3DS, for example.
I disagree. But
I mean, if you look at Link's face,
yeah,
it's just comical now, whereas back then it must have been incredible. Because his face is, a lot of the time, just fixed in this like weird stare. But when we were at the end of the SNES life cycle, Super Mario... Well, that wasn't the end, but Super Mario World, that sort of thing, were basically the pinnacle of pixel art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that does stand the test of time, because as far as the form goes, it's like the ultimate. I mean, there are indie games later.
I'm going to disagree with you.
There are indie games that have been released later that have great pixel art. I'm saying that back then, in like commercial games, they'd reached basically the pinnacle of pixel art then, and then they had to start on 3D, and it suffered from that transition.
I think there are elements in Ocarina of Time, especially when you boot it up for the first time, and the moon comes up over the landscape, and Zelda's riding a horse. Link's riding a horse across the landscape. I think it still looks stunning to me.
It's very cinematic.
It is
It's
very cinematic.
It's definitely
I-
hampered by the tools that were available.
I know what you mean, that there are things, like I always thought the Great Deku Tree looked rubbish. It's like I couldn't even work out what his face was. It's like, has he got a giant moustache, or...
What I don't get is he opens his mouth to let you into the dungeon at the start, then he leaves his mouth open when he's talking to you later, so he's just talking with an open mouth.
But there's like maybe it's not the actual graphics, maybe it is the directional stuff, because I always loved, it's such a small thing they did, but right at the start when
Navi.
goes to fly to get you, as she flies through a fence, she hits the fence and
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like
and
that.
shakes. And it's funny because on the 3DS that must be awesome.
What, do you want to see it?
I might do in a bit. But just little bits like that, so maybe it is the directional stuff that kind of gives it that.
Well, it might also be nostalgia, right? Because you enjoyed it as a child.
No, I still like the fact that they could have just done it, that she flew through the fence, and they took that moment to stop and go...
Oh, no, I like that.
No, that was intentionally to show you
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
what the capabilities were.
I mean the
They
opening
made the
scene.
effort to go hit the fence.
Yes.
When an animator could have gone, I can't be bothered to do that, just fly through the fence.
No, I mean
Yeah.
the opening scene that is very cinematic and beautiful, but maybe you think it's beautiful because you remember it being that way when you first played it.
I was still impressed playing it now, I'll be honest. There were moments where I went, it's still a pretty game.
I'm saying maybe your nostalgia is...
I tell you what did help a lot, maybe Spit You, but the music really did help. I don't know why, it just kind of... The music around it
yeah,
just
definitely.
helped
It's,
as well. But,
Oh, the music is amazing.
The music is
let's
amazing.
go into... Which one of you guys want to talk next?
I don't mind.
I'll go. I want to touch on music first, actually. Well, art in general, because I think the game is... it's not for me. I don't enjoy playing it. I never did, even when I played it when it came out, and I didn't like it at the time. And that was when it came out, and I was a kid. It was crazy good. But I feel I empathise a lot with what Anthony has said about the dungeons, because although I'm not against dungeons in general, I'm not quite so absolute about dungeons. They do feel there's definitely an element of slog there. There is some slog.
Well, just to say, I'm not against dungeons in general, because if the combat's okay, then dungeons are fine.
Fair
It's just
enough.
when the combat's bad, I hate dungeons.
Okay. And so regardless, I mean, obviously there's variation. There are different themes and elements and stuff. I always feel irritated when I go through a room and I find a new puzzle. I feel as though I need it to be over. I need it to be finished, and I want to get to the end. But ignoring the gameplay for now, I think that artistically, visually, and especially musically, it's very, very adept, and it does what it does very well.
You said something to us really interesting last week about the music composer in terms of the actual Ocarina instrument.
Yes, he had it's either 5 or 6, because the notes that you play in the principal melody of each of the themes that you actually play in like the little Ocarina minigame, they have to correspond to one of the... Is it 5 or 6 buttons you get?
You got this 3 C buttons and A and B. I'm trying to think if R, L, or Z ever appear on the music
I think
sheet.
it's...
I don't
It's
think
6.
It's
6.
6.
Yeah.
But do they actually are they actually
they
the same
correspond-
notes?
they're notes, yeah,
so,
they're
like,
notes.
C down always sounds the same on the Ocarina when you're
Yes.
playing it through the songs. Wow,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
and so he had to limit the initial melodies to those notes. So that's obviously, you're missing a lot there. And so composing those memorable tunes with that kind of limit. I mean, obviously in the next bit when the full orchestra comes in and you're no longer playing it yourself, he then has more opportunity to use more notes. But
it's the signature melody, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's
the actual principal signature melody. To have composed that with such a limitation is incredible, because so many of the tunes they're just like, if you played it when you're a kid, you know them. You know the Song of Storms. You know the sort of the whatever the
Epona's theme.
Epona's theme, Saria's song, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just, that amazes me, because as someone who's never interested in music, I'd actually give a lot of the credit to inspiring me to Koji Kondo and the games that he scored.
It's fun as well how those are pretty much not quick time events, but they're in any other form they'd be quite dull. You're just repeating, you're just playing Simon. But because it's got that musical element and you're playing the music and you're really enjoying the tune, it makes it a lot better. It's almost like an early version of Rock Band in a weird way. But yeah, sorry, go on.
You should have a Zelda
It's almost like you're
Ocarina party.
casting spells when you're using the Ocarina.
Epona was like, I'm on
something
drums.
I enjoyed.
So yeah, the music is phenomenal and definitely stands up nowadays. I mean, they've got sort of the newer Zelda games. I think, does Skyward Sword have an actual orchestra? Because I know,
Massive.
Twilight Princess sounded orchestral, but I'm pretty sure that was all MIDI.
No, Skyward Sword straight away. As soon as you get on that bird the first time and you're flying through the sky towards the first area beneath the clouds, just instantly this massive orchestral piece picks up, and it's absolutely sublime.
As someone who's studying studying music, I can't remember, like professional musicians and stuff. Do people kind of like if you were writing an essay on it for your course, would your lecturers look down on it if you mentioned a video game piece of music?
I mean, it varies. Sort of, it would depend on what specific topic the essay was on. But no, a lot of my lecturers are very open-minded, and a lot of them really enjoy weird music.
I was just interested to ask, is it still kind of like frown? Not like, I don't know if a composer said,
As a form,
I'm doing the music for Skyrim, would a composer like Zimmer or whatever his name is?
Hans Zimmer go, a game.
One of my lecturers collaborated on the music for the recent Need for Speed games. So I don't think they'd have any qualms about accepting an essay on music done for Nintendo and stuff.
I guess the other question I was asked, because I don't really know, because I hear it and I listen to Skyrim and I think, wow, it sounds incredible, but do you think does it stand up there with films, soundtracks and stuff like that?
It's very different, especially older music. This is if you think about any of the music from Zelda Ocarina of Time right now, it's all very melodic. It's all very sort of da 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 da. But then if you think about, ignore the one or two principal themes from Lord of the Rings and think about the music, it's all very. It's mellower in terms of sort of thematic content. Like, it's very ambient. There's a lot of sort of underscore there.
Yeah.
It's there to suit sort of the action and the dialogue on screen. It doesn't want to overpower that. But in Zelda, there's a lot of time when you're running around doing sort of not much exploring, and the music is the main point of interest there. So it's much busier and more in your face than a lot of films. But recently, film and video game soundtracks have become very similar. It's bizarre how similar a lot of them are. A lot of film composers like Hans Zimmer are now moving over into games. Which is interesting. But visually it's striking, it's bold. I mean, it's not phenomenal for nowadays. I mean, it's quite ugly in places, but I can appreciate what they were doing, and sort of artistically with the tools they had, I'm very impressed even now. Like, it stands out amongst its contemporaries. So it's interesting and it's important and it's interesting to look at and go back to, but that's where it stops for me, because I can't actually enjoy it. Not that I don't need to enjoy a game for it to be good. I don't think that's the main point of games, but it's just the combat and the gameplay in general, the puzzle solving isn't that advanced. I'm not massively into it. So yeah, I mean, it's a profound achievement, I think. Even now it's very easy to see that, but perhaps not that accessible.
If you think about it, in both cases, Nintendo were taking massively appreciated and loved 2D franchises, Mario and Zelda, and they had the Herculean task of translating into 3D, which I think would have been difficult for any game studio, and most of them probably would have failed. Like Bomberman 3D.
Look at how many games haven't made the transition to 3D, basically.
Some of them are terrible.
Yeah, Sonic.
A lot of the time, though, that transition happens like 15 years later with a totally different dev team and stuff. They had all the best people from Nintendo working on these.
So Nintendo, I mean, I complain. Well, I complain. I point out the slight problems I have with the graphics and the targeting and the camera work and everything. But they had such a big job in front of them to translate to 3D that I think that's still hugely impressive, even if I don't like the game.
Definitely. It is very impressive. That kind of stands out for me.
Zan, what do you think?
I didn't play it when I was younger because I didn't have an N64. So last year for my birthday, treated myself to a 3DS upgrade. And when I got it, I also got Super Mario Land 3D and Ocarina of Time 3D. Those are the only two decent titles available at the time.
Where's Metal Gear Solid 3 HD?
Decent titles, James.
Come on, Metal Gear Solid 3 soft.
Decent titles. So played Super Mario Land 3D. That took me like a couple of days because I got it in the Easter holidays, so I had lots of free time. And then I put in Ocarina of Time, and suddenly I lost my life.
Yay.
I could not put it down. I could not stop playing.
Was it a bomb?
No.
I love it. I cheered at her losing her life. I was like, yeah.
No, I just completely sucked in. I mean, I love the Zelda games anyway, and Ocarina of Time, I always knew, you know, the reputation it had and how it's, you know, hailed by virtually everyone as the pinnacle. So I was hoping I was going to enjoy it still when I put it in. I had to start using a walkthrough very early on. When I played it the first time, despite the fact that I was 27. Jack did it as a child with none.
There is a lot of elements of like exploratory, just walking around.
But this is it. That's what I wanted to cut out, was because I was just like, no, I want to do the next bit. I want to do the next bit. I want to do the next bit. But obviously, I've played it on a 3DS. I haven't played it on an N64. So I've played it with the modern graphics, with the modern camera, and I mean, you know, the sound hasn't changed, the art direction hasn't changed, but in terms of enjoyability and the 3D gameplay, true 3D, because it's actual 3D now, just open it and look and play. It is absolutely stunning, and once you've got it in that sweet spot and you play it, it is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good Zelda game.
It's surprising.
I wouldn't say it's the best game ever. Like Jack says, it takes too long to complete it. Like Mario, you can jump in and out for a few levels. Like it's fine. Pokemon, you know, you can do this bit, then you can leave it for a bit, and you can train them
How
there,
do you
and
move
then you
the
can.
camera?
Pardon?
How do you move the camera?
You don't move the camera. You just use L, and you can use L to target.
Oh, okay, so the camera system's basically the same.
Yeah.
And Steve's playing it now on the 3DS.
Yeah, Anthony's got my 3DS now, and he's just having a little look.
Yeah, no, I'm honestly surprised how much, because the graphics in some cases aren't that much improved, like the ground textures and things, but the character models are all much better. I'm surprised how good this still looks. I think they probably improved everything a little bit, so it's hard.
Yeah, they have. They've tweaked the lines of things and improved the fluidity of movement and stuff.
3D because I just see like two.
You're not holding it in the right place.
You've got to hold it in the sweet spot.
You've got to keep moving it till you find the sweet spot.
Where the hell is the sweet spot?
It's probably might be closer than that.
There's also a slider.
There's
also a slider on the
Yeah, just
there
turn
is a
off the
slider.
3D.
You can turn that off if you want. Turn the 3D off.
Better.
Maybe the 3D doesn't work on James.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, wait,
James can't do the 3D.
Wait, I really should not have to be able to do the 3D.
It doesn't work for some people,
quite
James.
Silly. That is quite
Weird. Does it actually not work for some people?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
it's
think
like
it does.
this.
Could you do? You remember those magic eye puzzles?
Something like
Yeah.
50.
Could you do those?
No.
Do you go to 3D cinemas?
I don't enjoy them.
Well, that's different because I think the glasses.
That's
help a lot.
glasses.
Yeah.
That's automatic. This you got to hold it in the
Oh,
sweet
that's
spot and do it.
weird.
So sorry,
It is updated, isn't it?
So
Yeah, they
you said
seriously
you
improved.
lost your life, but you said you lost your life, but you wouldn't pick up and play it again. Were you kind of saying? Sorry.
Well, I haven't played it since I redid a bit of it for the show,
But
but
you thoroughly
not a huge
enjoyed
amount.
it when you-
Oh, I absolutely adored it. Well, it's just classic Zelda, you know. It does what it says on the tin. You do your initial quest, think you've rescued her, then oh no, you haven't. Ground's put out from under your feet, and you've got to do all the same temples again in a slightly different version of the world. Speaking of which, I did enjoy the fact that you had young Link and old Link, and it had the time travelling element to the game. I did really enjoy that. And obviously they do that with Skyward Sword as well, but there's not as great
They
a
like
difference
their
in
time
age.
travel.
Yes.
They had it in Seasons of Ages, right? As well.
Oracle of Ages.
Yeah.
I got to say, this is stunning.
Is the 3D working for you?
Oh yeah, of course it is.
What the
I'm not.
It works for me as well.
I'm not a complete moron.
Is this a thing? Does this
It's not.
I don't know. My friend who I showed at the weekend, she couldn't see it either. She just couldn't get it. I was just like, "What are you on about? You just put
As
it in
long
the
as
sweet
it's straight
spot."
onto your face and about a foot and a half away, you should be
Anthony,
able to.
Yeah.
put your finger on your nose like this. Do it. Now look at me, yeah? How many of your finger do you see?
Two, I think.
Yeah, 2.
Okay, good. Because some people you do this with and they'll say 1. I was just checking because
Don't try this if you're driving anyone out there.
But yeah, so I only played it on the 3DS, and yeah, I loved it. I really enjoyed it. It's a classic Zelda game. Does what it says on the tin.
I don't want to sound shallow, and it's not like a huge improvement, but since they've improved everything a little bit, I'm going to say that if you had played that on the original N64, you probably wouldn't have liked it as much, purely because I think the graphics kind of get in the way, they stand out too much.
Yeah,
They really have upped the graphics. And the other thing that's quite interesting is the animation is a hell of a lot better, to the point where the guy who's guarding the entrance to the Great Deku Tree, he now, when he shuffles left and right, he actually moves his left,
really?
wobbles up down, when in the previous game he would just slide.
Is it Deku or Deku?
Deku.
I always
There's
said
loads of
Deku.
stuff. There's loads of stuff in this game that I can never pronounce. Even Ganondorf.
Genon.
I don't know.
Ganondorf. But yeah,
so
it's
in terms
good.
of the story, it's
story.
quite basic.
Story, classic Zelda. I mean, this is the thing. Zelda has fallen into an extremely good formula. It's like Pokemon. It's every time it's released, it's the same overall story arc, and same overall structure, but the ins and outs of the little story details are slightly different every time, and that's what keeps you coming back. That's what you enjoy.
I love the whole thing of the three goddesses, when they left the thing, decided to leave their magical powers somewhere in Hyrule. It's like, that's a bit of a plot hole. You should have just taken it with them. Why
I don't think the stories of Zelda games are really the strong
The
points.
story isn't the focal point whatsoever.
Which leads me to believe there are people who think that the strong point of a game can be the fetch quest, dungeon, puzzle solving style stuff. And I'm not asked Zan about that because I don't enjoy any of that at all.
I disagree. I think that the sort of the perceived strength of the Zelda series has always been the atmosphere that they create.
There is a definite atmosphere, but I don't think it's an atmosphere that appeals to me because there's not enough guns or explosions.
See, that's exactly why I do like it, is because there is more of a semblance of a story, and it's not blowing up stuff. It's more elegant. So it's the sword fighting.
It is very
and
Lord of the
the
Rings.
archery. It's just it's a lot. It just feels nicer.
Most fantasy is very Lord of the Rings, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess
I want to say
Well, that's because mechanised war changed a lot of people's perceptions of the world.
Yeah.
I want to say to our listeners, if any of you have a copy of Ocarina of Time on your 3DS, fire it up and then hold down the L button, so you're essentially Z targeting, and sidestep, because Link looks like he's stumbling sideways as if he's drunk and trying to... Can you see this?
No, he's strafing. He's strafing.
And you can look around.
If you're
Sorry, I forgot to say, you can move the camera. You can move the 3DS around, and that shows you the room by moving the camera around.
If you're trying to show someone him stumbling sideways, that doesn't help much. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
It looks like he's trying to nearly falling over and not.
So I was going to quickly say about what's interesting about Ocarina of Time. For basically, it's loved. People go on about it for crazy, which is to them. So, however, it's also one of those games I find quite interesting that as much as it's loved, it also has certain features that people will always, if you say to them, someone like, what's your least favourite part of a game? Lots of bits of Ocarina of Time come up. If famously the water temple comes up, it's really bad.
Have you just got found the sweet spot?
You have to unfocus your eyes and past the screen.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Well, I don't have to do that.
Have you never used a 3DS before?
No.
Wow. Okay.
I can't do this.
It is impressive.
It's difficult. Wow.
I don't think I have to unfocus my eyes.
When I was playing this, it did give me headaches. I played for 4 hours at a time and then turn off the 3D.
It took me a while. I had to work the slider up, and now I get it all the way to the top.
I don't think most people.
I always had it from the top, from the start. Got a headache. I was like, whatever.
No, I don't.
Makes my brain feel hot, guys.
I don't think most people have to unfocus
Isn't
their
it pretty?
eyes.
Don't you like it?
It's very pretty, but I couldn't play it like this. I'd have to either turn it down or play it on an internet.
No, I think unfocusing your eyes is like a special thing you have to do because.
Okay, all right.
No, because usually I just look at the screen.
Well, that's it. I can just look at it.
Yeah,
and do it.
so-
But could you do magic eyes?
Yeah, but that takes some more
I do
practice.
really-
No, but that's the same idea. Is unfocusing your eyes
I used
so
to
that you
do,
look past the image
Yeah,
and then
so
it stands out to you.
I used to do them backwards though, so the thing would sink into the image, like the foreground would come forward, and it was always weird. I couldn't
This
get
is
around the other way.
weird.
But
Why am I not surprised?
Ocarina of Time, because I was saying there's a lot of bits in it that are quite famously, like, I love the fact that, well, not love it, but when you first go in, the owl will say to you, this is what you have to do, head over there, head over there. Did you understand that fully? And the first answer is no. And if you press A, the owl will go, you silly boy, and read it all out again. And there's lots of bits in the game which I never tried, where like Zelda will say, like, do you want to come on this quest with me? And you can go, nah, I don't believe you. And I never tried what happens if you did that.
I think they let you walk away. You just have to go back if you want to progress.
You just have to walk up to it.
There's in Dark Souls, there's a bit like that. But if you say no, you lose access to that guy in the quest and whatever that was forever. There's a guy you talked to really early in the game who opens up multiplayer, and if you say no, I'm not interested, Tim, you just can't play multiplayer.
One of the most famous instances of that is at the start of, I think it's Dragon Quest, the original one.
Yeah.
you went up to the king and he asked you to go on this quest to save the world, which was the actual plot line, right? So you had to do it to actually progress in the game at all. And it's right at the start. And he said, will you take on this quest? And you could say no if you want to, but he would just say, but thou must, and you'd have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So putting no in has always been like a kind of a joke option because they're going to make you do it anyway.
In Skyward Sword, you just get 2 positive options. It's just like, yeah, okay, and if you insist.
That was in Mario Galaxy as well.
Yeah, it was in Mario Galaxy as well. It's the 2 positives instead of giving, so you pretending you're choosing, but you're really not.
I don't know what I was going to say about Ocarina of Time. The only thing I did want to talk about, which I don't know if any of you guys would remember, but I remember back when this was coming out, and I always get annoyed now when games stick like on their adverts like the most anticipated game of all time, because you can't measure that. But if I was to say, thinking back, what was the most anticipated game at all time, Ocarina of Time, because it got delayed quite a few times. It was on so many magazine covers for so long, and they kept drip feeding little bits. Like I remember when they revealed the fact that you get to play as adult Link, and the whole world changes. And it was like, I remember I used to read CVG and Games Master. I remember for about 2 years running up to this game, they must have had about 12 covers that were just Zelda, Ocarina of Time. And I just remember when the game came out, everything about it was, and this is going to be really sad actually, like the box was just pitch black, just black Zelda, nothing on it. It's like, whoa. And even weirder, I actually remember, so I went home, and one thing about the Zelda game that was really weird, the actual cartridge was really heavy. It was the first 32 megabyte game they made, but it was really heavy.
It was also gold, wasn't it?
There was a gold version as well. I just had a normal grey one. And I remember when I went home last, I actually thought I'm going to weigh my N64 games, and it was the heaviest out of all of my like 15.
That's
it was
interesting.
155 grams.
More memory chips.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, and I was just blown. It was such a big game. I remember when it came out, everything about it was just like, this is going to be huge.
Although I think now everyone will agree that the most anticipated game of all time to date is Duke Nukem Forever.
But it does annoy me. I remember when like Halo 4 was coming out, I was like, the most anticipated game. It was like, no, it's not. Till the next one. It annoys me when they use that quote.
You were in the advert. You interrupted his actual voiceover. No, it's not.
There was another quick weird thing I was going to say about
It's the Retrograde.
Following very shortly after this game was Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask was a lot better.
Yeah, a lot of people say
I still haven't played that one.
Well, it went off in a weird direction, which is why I think it has a more polarising effect.
Yeah, it was much more adult as well.
Yeah, much more puzzle solving in Majora. Well, like you come
thematically as well. It was
Yeah.
like there was quite a lot of doom and gloom.
and there's a really good paradox in Majora's Mask. No, it's in Zelda. Sorry, it's in when you tell the guy in the windmill. When you're a child, he teaches you the Rain song.
Oh, yeah.
And then when you go back as an adult, you teach him the Rain song.
Yeah.
Or is that the other way around?
What the hell
Probably
are you
the other way
talking
around.
I'm trying to think.
Because if he taught you as a child, he wouldn't need to know.
As a child, you teach him. Then as an adult, he teaches you.
Do you mean as a child he teaches you, and then as an adult you teach him?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So you're a child. You walk in. He goes, "I'm going to teach you this song."
Yeah.
Then you.
No, that wouldn't make any sense, James.
Sorry, I got this wrong again. When
you would already know it if you were a child.
When you're a child, because you've travelled back in. No, I've got this wrong.
When you're a child, you teach him.
Yeah.
And then when you're an adult, he teaches you. But because you have to travel back and forth throughout the game anyway. So you don't do it as a child the first time, you do it as a child the second time.
Oh.
Because you get it when you're an adult, then you have to go back to being Child Link again.
Yeah, that's
then
right.
you go to him and you have to teach him.
That's what I said in the first place, though.
Sorry, I got really confused.
I didn't know there was more than one child, I forgot about that.
Good.
Well, if you want to unlock everything, then that's what you do.
Oh, I never did. I mean, I remember people used to play the fishing game for hours, or just to play
The
the
fishing game was awesome.
It was good, but even like there was like the chickens and the horse race.
The chickens! I love the chickens.
I liked it with the horse racing stuff. You could leap over the wall, like out. Of
Yeah.
the range.
I liked the fact that you could use the chickens to glide and collect all the extra stuff in the village.
There was a
That
lot of dark
good fun.
stuff in the game as well. I remember there's a whole house of like ghosts, and there's giant skulls that are living in there.
Yeah, you got to save the children. You got to collect.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember the things. You got to collect
Just
X amount of these
kidnap them
certain
and
things. No, it's the Skulltula coins.
Yeah, that's it.
You got to kill those things, get the Skulltula coins, and then the more you get, the more kids get released, and you get cool stuff like bigger rupee pouches and a bigger quiver and things like that.
Link's just walking away like, I only do it for the cool stuff. Stupid
I always
kids.
remember there's a guard as you're going up to the mountains. Like, can I ask you a small favour? Can you go get me a mask for my son? It's like, and then when you come back, he's wearing the mask. It's like, why did I buy you this mask? Not for you. But anyone else got anything they'd like to raise about Ocarina of Time?
No.
This game made Ocarinas famous, by the way. No one had heard of an Ocarina until this game came out.
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure some people had heard of an Ocarina.
I'd never heard. Oh, would you want to say I wouldn't know an Ocarina? If someone turned up an Ocarina, I'd be like, let's jam.
The creators of Zelda had heard of an Ocarina before they made this game.
I don't know. Is it like Celtic?
I'm not sure actually.
I don't know what an Ocarina is.
But it was the first game that started the trend of having musical instruments in Zelda games.
No. You get the flute in
Mario.
in a Link to the Past.
Really?
Yeah, and it's ocarina shaped because I pointed it out in the episode at the time. So he does use an ocarina in A Link to the Past.
I don't think it's Celtic,
but it's not for the same function, and it's not called the ocarina. It's a flute, but it is an ocarina.
Favorite part in the whole game?
Well, no, I don't think it's Celtic. I think it's Hyrulean, the ocarina.
Oh, okay.
Lol.
Favorite part in the whole game is when you're about to leave the village.
Jack just
ignored you.
Glosses over that.
Sarah gives you her ocarina and says goodbye to you, and then for no reason, the animation, Zelda just backs away slowly.
Link
just backs away a few steps, then just turns around and pegs it
because he's afraid of girls.
Scared of her because she goes like, I hope you always come back, and he just goes, okay, I'm going to step back, and run. It's like, what a weirdo.
No, girls make him nervous.
Never talks as well. There's a whole thing about the silent protagonists in video games.
He never talks in his games.
Yeah, Link.
None of them.
Well, I was thinking earlier that he screams a lot. So I think his voice is probably just hoarse.
Yeah.
His voice is just hoarse all the time, so he can't talk even if he wants to.
Yeah.
I would say something about this puzzle and ask you how to do it, but my voice is just, I can't.
Did you name him Link or your name?
Link.
I named him my name because I thought I was naming the save file, and then I was really annoyed that he wasn't called Link in the game. It's like, don't call him Anthony, that's weird. He's a Hyrulean elf. Don't
Anthony, the hero of time.
Well, that sounds pretty badass.
What's it called when it's like the one they said would come as the like not scriptures, but like they say it all the way through where it's like the prophesized one.
Yeah.
Anthony.
Well, they've all got these really interesting, fantastical names in this forest, and this is Anthony, and they all probably think I'm weird.
Imagine if Kate and Wills name the baby Anthony, then there'll be King Anthony the First.
Well,
Robin Williams named his daughter Zelda
after Zelda games.
And they were so happy he did that when the 3DS version came out, he done the adverts.
Yeah. With his daughter Zelda.
Are you sure that wasn't for the Wii game?
Oh, it might be Skyward Sword actually. I thought it was a 3DS game.
It's a cool reference, but I'd be totally pissed off if my dad called me Zelda because it's such an old lady name.
No, one of Sabrina's aunts on Sabrina's Teenage Witch.
One of her old curmudgeonly aunts.
She wasn't an old curmudgeonly aunt.
They were young and full of life.
They were in their 30s. That's not old.
You look like a Ganondorf, definitely. You could definitely be a Ganondorf. Pull that off. Easy.
Yeah.
You could pull off Ganondorf.
You're dark and mysterious.
You remind me of the smallest fish I caught in a fishing game.
Oh!
Anyone else got anything to say about Ocarina of Time? No? All good? Okay, cool. We're going to trivia.
Jack, those birds clearly had something to say about Ocarina of Time.
I know. I'm probably
okay, close the trivia, quick, Jack.
Trivia closed. It's so hot down here that we've got obviously windows open, so that's why. And people who don't live in Rome, seagulls everywhere, mental.
They're crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, back into trivia. Sold over 8 million copies in the US, biggest selling N64 game in America. Pretty obvious, but
wait, does that include?
Yes, biggest selling game in America.
But N64. Mario was included with the N64, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that includes that.
Apparently, this is.
Didn't you say in the Mario episode that was the number one?
This is what Wikipedia is telling me. Okay, two conflicting things. I don't write Wikipedia. If he's on there, it's true. The horse in the game is named after a Celtic horse goddess, Epona.
You know, you can write Wikipedia,
who is
right?
also known as the mother of foals. The inscription on a stone tablet just above the giant Dodonga head in the Dodonga's cavern dungeon is the same as the inscription on the star statue in the castle courtyard in Super Mario 64.
Which is what? The Luigi thing?
Yeah, essentially it was Luigi.
But I think I read that they changed it for the re-release.
Okay.
Many of the characters named in Ocarina of Time are actually names of towns in Zelda 2. For example, Rauru, Midu, Rio, Sario, and Darinia. Didn't pronounce any of those.
That
are actually characters.
Gibberish.
I have no idea what you just talked about.
It's Hyrulean. Stop being racist.
What number Zelda game is this in the series? Anyone want to guess?
7.
8.
Wait,
No,
let
6.
me figure it out.
6.
Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Zelda 3 was Link to the Past. Oh wait, including the Game Boy games and stuff.
So I'm getting.
Yeah,
this is the 5th. You're basically there. But the official chronological order, which was revealed in that book you've got, puts this as the 4th in the timeline. Apparently, it goes Skyward Sword, Legend of Zelda: Minish Cap, Legend of Zelda: Four Swords Adventures, and then this. I didn't realise they all tied together. I thought it was a different Link every time.
It is a different Link every time.
The 4 Pose sisters in the forest temples, Joella, Meg, Beth, and Amy, are named after anyone?
Daughters.
Joella, Meg, Beth, and Amy. Meg and Beth. Anyone? Okay. Named after the 4 characters in Little Women: Meg, Beth, Amy, and Josephine. Huh. Come on, Beth. Everyone knows Beth.
I haven't read it.
First Zelda game ever released in which no sword in the game can fire beams. Oh yeah, that's
Man.
Wow.
Ocarina Link must have been pissed.
Originally, they were worried when they made the game that Hyrule Field was going to be too much for the N64 to handle, so they planned on taking a modified version of Princess Peach's castle and making it into Ganondorf's castle, and Link would jump through pictures to go to the different areas in the game. Then they realised it actually can handle it, so they left that, put Ganondorf's castle in later as a boss, and that's why Ganondorf boss, the dark version, flies through posters. So that was going to be the thing. They were worried it wasn't going to do it. And there was also music in the game in the Fire Temple. The original 64 version was removed later because it was apparently offensive to Muslims. There was chanting in there that shouldn't have been chanting from the Quran or something like that. And in 2008-2010, Guinness World Records declared that Ocarina of Time is the highest rated game ever. Why 2008 and why 2010, I don't know. I don't know what happened in 2009, but there you go.
They might not have included it in the book.
I won't even bother talking about awards because it basically won everything. It won BAFTAs, it won basically everything. Every magazine, the lowest I got on my review list is 9.5. Like everything else is just absolutely perfect. Game rankings 97%, Metacritic 99. It's the highest product at all on Metacritic.
If it came out today, Edge would have given it a 7 and just completely screwed up.
I want to point out this is the second time I think that Jack has said I'm not even going to talk about scores and then goes on to talk about scores.
That's very true.
Of 3,700 people on IMDb that have rated it, 83% gave it 10. And then there's the grumpy people that give it like 126 who gave it 1.
0 terrible word.
But average for men, 9.1. Average for women, 6.3.
Well.
But this kind of unfairly balanced because males, 2,700 people voted, females, 8,300. So, you know.
No, come on. If this doesn't tell you something about the size of our brains, I don't know what will.
Females aged 18 to 29. Oh, they only give it like 6.1. Oh, they're not liking it, are they?
I think they were annoyed they couldn't play as Zelda.
And that was pretty much all my trivia, apart from the fact that there's the really boring stuff that people know about, that like Malon's brooch is...
Why would you... If it's really boring stuff that
people know. Malon's brooch is a Bowser head, we all saw that. When you go into Zelda's courtyard, you look in the window, you see a picture of Mario.
I didn't know this. What?
The 2 brothers, one you have to wake up outside the castle, that's meant to be Mario, and his older brother that's taller and green, that's obviously meant to be Luigi. Yeah.
This is the boring stuff that everyone knows about.
No, but it is. I thought that's classic. We all saw that, you know. And that's about it. So now we go into the retrograde part of the show.
Axe.
Not doing weapons.
Weapons.
It's my choice, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
Axe. Types of axe.
Let me think.
Baby boy names.
No, because that doesn't make any sense. Because that would be like.
Because Wills and Kate.
Wills and Kate. Are we so familiar with Prince William that we now have to... Is he so fundamental that now he's just referred to as Wills?
No,
Yeah.
OK Magazine is just so fundamental that now he's referred to as Wills.
I don't even call him Callium now because they're always together, you know. I'm going to go for we'll grade this game as if it were a type of species in a fantasy universe like Lord of the Rings. I would say, for example, this is whatever the highest rank of elf is, because they always look beautiful.
I believe that's Super Elf.
Super elf, mega elf,
Arwen.
because they're beautiful, last forever, and they're always the most intelligent. All the others like running around, and the elves are like, oh please.
Okay, well I'm going to choose Orc because in terms of getting along with them, it's hard to, and they're ugly.
I'm going to go with Hobbit. Because
I was thinking of hairy feet, right?
No. Because the
hairy feet.
Let's give us some hairy feet.
Hobbits are trustworthy, dependable. They get the job done.
The feet are also hard.
They're funny.
Doesn't have to wear shoes. 'Cause it's hard hairy feet.
Stop talking about their feet.
Most of the reviews at the end would be like one point I'd note though bad about the game is that they're hairy feet. Just like a Hobbit.
And the thing is with Ocarina of Time, it delivers. It delivers what you want from a Zelda game, and a Hobbit delivers rings to Mount Doom. So yeah,
Probably any.
How'd you get there?
How do the hobbits get there?
It's a very long journey.
How did they physically get there?
How do they get there?
Yeah, how do hobbits move?
They walk
On what?
on the ground.
But what do they use to walk on the ground?
Hairy feet.
Hairy feet, hard hairy feet. Right, I'm going with the sirens from the Odyssey because they're very beautiful on the outside and they sing a lovely song. It's like, oh,
That draw you in.
No, this is like, stop my ears up with wax, I don't want to hear this. And so you're very attracted by them, they're very visually appealing, but actually when you get there, they're weird, crazy.
Is that what Homer did? He filled his ears with wax?
No, Odysseus, Homer wrote it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then you get there and they're proper mongoloids and they'll try and munch you down like an old Twix.
Yeah, it's true.
Didn't you also lash himself to his mast?
Yes.
Yeah, and filled his ears with wax.
Oh no, wait, his crew filled their ears with wax. He just lashed himself to a mast so that he'd like take the full brunt of the thing.
Oh yeah, he went mad.
Oh yeah, because that's it. He
Yeah,
didn't
so
wax his
he
ears.
was hearing it and apparently it was lovely.
All the while, his son was having sex with his mother.
What? That's Oedipus.
Oedipus, yeah.
Good old
Not Odysseus.
The three of us chose.
They're completely different.
The three of us chose.
And Oedipus
creatures
didn't
from-
realise that he was shagging his mum.
Anthony wants to say words.
I just watched Where Art Thou. Sorry,
The three of us chose all creatures from Lord of the Rings, and
yeah.
because that's the only fantasy we know.
James went classical. Yeah, thanks for listening. You can join the show. You can visit our website at retrogradeshow.com to find a back catalogue of our episodes. You can follow us on Twitter at Retrograde Show, where you can find about our competition, where you can retweet.
Yeah, if we have a competition for the next show, it will be on there. So
Yeah, you'll see that. Yeah. Just follow us, You always get updates. And if you enjoy the show, please take the time to write a review on iTunes. Every reviewer for us gets a free Retrograde band. We've had quite a few recently, which is very nice, so thank you. And we're going to be back in 2 weeks with a game I think you chose, Anthony.
Yes.
This unfamiliar one called Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, Sonic. No, I haven't heard of that. So I wouldn't have chosen it.
Hedgehog? Who would make a game about a hedgehog?
We're doing
Anthony,
one.
hogs are
One.
rarely in hedges. They're usually in jungles or forests.
We're doing one.
Number one, yeah.
Number one, not two.
Yeah. Well, I figured one's the most classic, and I wanted to essentially what I want to do is encourage comparisons to Super Mario World, because I think one's the best one to do that with, because the rest of them kind of added things on.
2 is the good one though.
Yeah, I know, but that means we've got more to say about one.
So you basically chose it so we compared it to Mario.
Well, it was also part of my childhood, unlike Mario, because we had a Mega Drive, so I played a lot of Sonic 1. The music, for example, just blows me away.
It's an inevitable game. That's what I was going to say. We had to do it one week.
Yeah, the Sega lawyers came around my house and said you have to do this, just like the
Yeah.
Nintendo lawyers came around your house and said you have to do Ocarina of Time.
Exactly. So yeah, make sure you play Sonic the Hedgehog before then. We're back in 2 weeks. That's goodbye from me, Jack Marshall. Goodbye from Anthony Hobday.
Goodbye.
Goodbye from Susanna Fisher.
Bye.
And goodbye from Jason Valiant.
Check out Game of Thrones. Pretty good.